Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Another competition, another win. It's time for Ange management. Spurs are on fire. 5 wins from 5. Shana Tova to anyone who was celebrating it yesterday and today. I know you were, Jonny. Happy New Year, and how are you?
I actually spend mine in bed, unfortunately, but always here for anger management. So here I am, worse for wear, but I wouldn't miss this. And Happy New Year to you, Brian, and Happy New Year to anyone who's out there who's celebrating that.
Do you know what? As you've been so good to the channel, we do the show after the Brighton game. I'm going to give you 2 weeks off. How about that?
You're very
No,
kind.
nothing to do with the international break. We're a fair channel here.
Tell me, Brian, do you honestly think that being a Spurs fan, just because there's an international break, it won't mean that there's some sort of drama over those 2 weeks? Because I can guarantee you there will be.
For sure, and we'll cover that when it does happen on Evening Brews. Let's just say hello to everyone that is with us. My brother and channel member Sean Slater, I hope you are good. Paul Clark, good afternoon to you, buddy. Active on Wembley, good afternoon to you. Paul is there again. Matty Kushra, as always, is here. Colin Crossamano is here. We have Andrew Gregory. What's up, my buddy? I hope you're good and well. We have Adrian Stone. Big up to you. We have Shentem channel member and DB Forever. How are you, brother? I hope you are good and well as well. Right. So, obviously, Europa League action yesterday. Spurs got the job done. Ange went big. He went bold. So, we're going to do this again for people that know. I can't really have to do this every show. The negatives we'll discuss if there's any. The positives, special mentions to players that deserve it, and then the big man himself. So, Jonny, do you have a negative from yesterday that you wish to discuss?
I do. I cannot listen to Glen Hoddle any longer. It's painful. You didn't have to suffer it.
I've been hearing a lot about it, Jonny.
Right, I posted about it and it's gone mad. I've had about 60,000 views on my tweet. And basically, he starts off with, I don't think he's picked the right team, right? Then he didn't like the formation. Then he's saying their goal was a goal, right? And I'm thinking, what are you on? Like, can you say something positive? Anyway, half time comes. They show the line where it was offside. And he comes on and he says, he goes, well, I don't believe that goal was offside. What are you talking about, Glenn? You've just seen the bloody lines. You've just seen the lines. They've just been put up. Then he's going on that he should have made the subs earlier. I don't know whether Daniel owes him some money and he's bitter and twisted or what. I just cannot understand it. He was my favourite ever player, Brian.
Yep.
Right? A god, right? A legend. And then I don't know what's happened to him, right? As a manager with all the stuff he said, but he just, I don't know if he's bitter. And I know you have to be balanced and you couldn't show bias, but he's gone so far the other direction. And him and Sam Matterface were like, oh my God, give me a break. In the end, I had to, I muted it.
It's got to, Joe, I was about to say, it's got to the point. I saw a lot of comments about this on Twitter. A lot of people, a lot of Spurs fans saying this.
I'm glad it wasn't just me.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. I saw it all over the place. I saw it in my Enoch out groups. Everyone was mentioning that when Glen Hoddle is on Spurs, he is very, very, very beyond critical, which is a real shame. It is one of the other blessings I have of living here because we don't get the same commentary team as you. We obviously get the same feed, just not the same commentary. But I heard, just like DB said, brilliant player, not so good commentary. I mean, I remember, and I'm sure we all remember, when we beat Ajax, and he was in the studio with Gary Lineker and Rio Ferdinand. He was like over the moon, and it's a shame. It's a shame to see him like, I don't know what it is.
Jealousy? Is it jealousy? I don't know.
I don't know if it's jealousy. You look at all these other people, Johnny, like the ones that are Man U. I don't think Gary Neville. I've got a lot of time when I listen to Gary Neville. I really do like him. Can he go over the top sometimes with United? Maybe, but he's very critical when needs to be.
Oh yeah, he's definitely balanced. What I was going to say, Brian, I was thinking about it last night after I made the tweet. How often do we see Glen Hoddle walking around at Tottenham Hotspur amongst the legends? Is there something going on? I mean, he is a legend. He is a legend. You know, you see Ledley, you see Graham Roberts, you know, you see Ozzy, you see Mark Falco, you see all these guys, right? But I never see Glen Hoddle. He's just a grumpy.
Exactly. This is exactly. What a name! What a name! I don't think I've seen you in the chat before. What an entry! Welcome to the channel, and what a superb comment. He's bang on the money. He's bang on the money, and also Barbaric Disdain is here. Always good to see you. Do you know what? People see football in different ways.
Yeah,
and you could be right, you could be wrong. I don't think it was boring yesterday. I don't think it was as fluid as United or anything. I don't think it was boring. I thinking that the only negatives I can think of it really is that at the start of the game, we were really, really under the cosh, and you'd expect it with a brand new team with all those changes made. Also, Ben, I hope you're good and well, and hopefully Ben will be joining me instead of Dave for the members show, where you can come on and have your say later on today. If not, it'll be me flying solo. Yeah, I just think yesterday I mean, do you know what people could have mentioned? Timo Werner. Do you know the thing I'm going to say to him? In the first half, he put in some really good crosses. He really did the first few minutes. But that attempt, I've looked back here and I went back and looked at the Manchester United ones. The Manchester United ones, he had time for another touch, or to take it round or whatever. And he didn't. He shot first time. And yesterday, it was the perfect angle from what I saw for him to shoot first time.
Bro, what about Coventry? What about Coventry?
Yeah,
he was abysmal at Coventry. He was absolutely abysmal. He was abysmal. Look, he was anonymous, and then turned up to make that pass. I mean, the ball from Mikey Moore was absolutely sublime. And then, you know, I don't know. Look, for me, watching Spurs, every fan should be given a defibrillator. Anyone over the age of 40 should be given a defibrillator, because it's heart attack football. You know, it's never boring. Ball has never been boring. It can rip your soul apart. It can make you joyous. The emotions of being watching Ange ball is like peaks and troughs. And last night, the negative for me was that, you know, we are still very, very exposed. I mean, they had 5 shots on target. Well, I think we had 2 more. They had umpteen and 1 chances to score, and they scored at the end.
Look at this chat, Johnny. They're talking. This bat's going about Glen Hoddle. This is he's not coming. I mean, Lee Dixon is another breed for all I care about.
Martin Keown is the most biased. I mean, he doesn't even hide it. Martin Keown or Adam Smith. But I'd rather listen to them. I'd rather listen to them, in all honesty, than listening to Glen Hoddle just talking twat. But look, I just think, can we really seriously carry on playing this high line? We're getting exposed every week. I mean, I'm looking at the stats last night, and we just got exposed over and over and over again, Brian. I mean, how many times did you think they could have scored? I mean, just the 5 shots on target. Forget the 11. I think they had 11 shots. Can't remember exactly the number. I think it was 11. Let me just check. I think it was 11 shots.
I will say, whilst you look at that, Barbaric Disdain has a big problem with you, Johnny. Check this, got a big problem. Have a look at this comment that's just come up. but Joel, whilst you're doing that, and I want to see what people in the chat think, because Ben's mentioned it, and I think a couple of people mentioned it.
Yeah, we had 17 attempts. They had 15 attempts. Okay. They had 5 on target. We had 7 on target, 6 off target, and 4 block shots. I mean, we did hit the woodwork twice. All I'm saying is we will play better teams than Coventry, better teams than Man United, and better teams than Ferencváros over the next few weeks. And I just it worries me. I'm loving the run. It's all positive. We're loving it, right? I'm just, what's going to happen when we play a top team? Because Man United are a mid-table team at best at the moment. Sorry, Brian, what were we going to say?
No, I was saying there's 2 things I'm going to bring up which we use as negative and lead into the positive, so to speak. But I want to see what the 81 people in the chat think of the 2 things I'm going to bring up. I've starred one of them. And Lee, I've seen your question, Mr. Lee Harvey. Anyone that does have a question, please put a Q and a dash, or at TOT and a dash. And if you are in any way possible and you want to have it chat immediately, you can put in a super chat, but it's totally non-obligation and only if you can.
But hit the like button.
That's important. That's important. But the first one, Ben and someone else has mentioned this. Inverted fullbacks were back again yesterday. Now, obviously, what I wanted to discuss with you and the people that are in the chat, yes, they were back yesterday, but do you think Ange is choosing what we want to see to set yourself up against different teams? You've got to play different ways.
Yeah.
Is Ange saying, do you know what, for this game, we've got all the youngsters or a lot of youngsters in. I know Archie Gray was in the second half. He can be counted as Ben Davies. Do you reckon he's seen this game? And an amazing stat came out yesterday. Do you know the last team to beat Ferencváros, sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Do you know the last team to beat them in a
Leeds, 1969?
No, the last team to beat them at home is Ange Postecoglou Celtic.
Oh yeah.
Which is incredible.
But only the second team, only the second English team to win in Hungary was 1969 against Leeds.
Exactly. So they're no mugs. But do you reckon? And I'm going to see what people say in the chat before I bring up DB's comment. Do you reckon that he's now doing it on a game by game basis rather than, because he's obviously changed it?
I'd like to think so, Brian. I'd like to think so. I mean, we saw against Brentford they pulled wide.
Yeah.
And Maddison had a really good game, probably one of his best games. I think the system does need tweaking, and you play like that against the Manchester City, an Arsenal, an Aston Villa, or even a West Ham with pace.
Yeah.
And that can finish their dinner, and we're going to be in trouble. I think it's only a matter of time. I don't want to put a downer on it because it's all positive. We've won 5 in a row, but let's be honest, we haven't played a top team. In these 5 games, and they've all looked like they're going to score. I mean, look how many times Karabag looked like they were going to score. Look at Coventry, how many chances Coventry had and should have buried. Man United didn't because they were woeful. Brentford had chances, and last night Ferencváros had chances. I'd like to think that he mixes it up. My bigger worry for me, Brian, and I've mentioned this before, I think he made a huge mistake in not allowing. People tell me I'm a stuck record of putting Foster in the team and not putting Jed Spence in as a backup defender, because I felt sorry for Archie Gray. He's playing left centre back. He's playing left back. The guy's a midfielder first and foremost, right? He never played left sided or left back at Leeds. So, you're asking him to that. Why is he doing that? Because we knew as soon as we had an injury, if there was any problem with Destiny, then we were going to have a problem. And we already have a problem.
Do you know what? I reckon that we'll get on to Archie Gray and why I think what's happening with him is a great thing. I actually think it's a great thing what's happening.
It helps him learn.
We'll get onto that. But you alluded to it. The next one I wanted to bring up as we can talk about this as a negative, then we'll lead it into the positives. Yeah. You have had your say on it. I completely agree with this. But this happens with obviously we're more open and we're tuned in more. And DB's right, Ben's right. Everyone that's saying it is right.
Correct.
You're going to have chances created against you. We're never going to go a game, but I will say they had too many chances for my liking. But like we said, do you know what? When we're losing or not getting the results in, it was like just get the win any means necessary. We're getting the wins. Yes, it could be cleaner. Yes, it could be more convincing. But this is an issue. But again, this comes down to I think the midfield again. We'll speak about. I know exactly what D&B is saying, and I agree with it. But I think we all know, and we're all on the Ange Postecoglou journey, that this is going to be a staple of what happens. It's whether they're clear-cut chances, whether they take it. And at the moment, we are creating. Before this run, we weren't really creating, were we? It was the odd chance. It's like, where are we going? Now we are creating. It's just being about ruthless. Listen, we're going to talk about Gray and Lanksker or the youngsters very, very soon. Let's get on to Jonny. Let's get on to
the positives.
Let's do it, buddy. Let's do it.
So it's our best run in 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Form. The only thing is, I won't get too excited because the last time that happened, we went on to lose to Dynamo Zagreb, and I think 4 games later, Mourinho got sacked. So I won't I won't get too excited. But look, it's better than it was. There's lots of positives. I mean, I was buzzing after going up to Manchester. Just to see them, go up to Old Trafford and win up there was fantastic. Going to Coventry was painful, very painful. We got away with murder. But, was that Jed Spence goal the turning point of our season? And that goal from Brennan Johnson, I don't know.
That's a better name for him. That's a better name for him.
Yeah, well, I've given him a new name. Brennan
My boy.
Right. And I think, maybe that was the turning point because there seems to be a newfound belief now within the squad. And I was watching them. I was looking back on some of my videos of the early games, and I wouldn't say they were not connected, right? They weren't as bonded now. I'm looking at the goal celebrations now. And they really are now as a unit, especially after the games, pushing players, acknowledging players who've had great games, pushing them forward. Look how they pushed Brennan Johnson forward after the goal. They wanted him to take all the plaudits, didn't they, Brian? They pushed him forward, and it's worked, they're singing his name now at every game. And maybe that will help the confidence, but it is not going to eradicate the fact that we are going to be giving up chances. We could be playing Cheltenham, and they're going to get a chance. It wouldn't matter who we're going to play. If you want to sit on our shoulder and put a ball over the top, you're going to get a chance to score against us.
I will say before I give my first positive, thank you very much indeed for the super chat, Shem. No Thanks, question. Shem. Just say you two guys do a brilliant job. Thank you very much indeed, buddy. I am going to say as a positive, I think some of the football we played in the second half was incredible. People go, yes, it was. I don't care. I will say, especially as well, with so many young players playing and fair play to their supporters, that's how I wish White Hart Lane was week in, week out. That place was rocking from minute 1 to minute 90. Obviously, Ryan Isaacs was actually there. It was like these fans are another level. Like they were literally non-stop. You could not. It was insane how good they were. But I think some of the football we played in that second half, in the build-up play and everything, was incredible. With such a young team, we'll get on to Ange straight away. When you look at that team, when you have coming off the bench a Madison, a Kulusevski, a Brennan Johnson, a Solanke, that is a lot better than if we go back the last time we're in the Champions League. And you saw those youngsters, and you look at it. We had the number 1 goalkeeper in. We had Bissouma and Sarr established first team. We had some established stars there. It was a lot of changes, more than I thought. But I think the boys on general did a very, very good job in getting the job done, Jonny.
Yeah, no, I thought they were really good. And, let's be honest, right? We had no Son, we had no Richarlison, we had no Odegaard, and we had no Destiny. Yeah?
Yep.
So, this is our strongest looking bench. It's our strongest looking bench. And I actually think that, I don't know. I'm going to reserve judgment. The one thing I did notice, and I'm going to say this, it's a positive, negative, right?
Yep.
When you take Bentancur out of that midfield, that is where your issue lies, I'm afraid. Because Bentancur, his transitional play is so good, Brian. He picks the ball up off of the back four, right? Normally off of Romero, and he delivers the ball to Maddison and Kulu. He gives them the freedom to play. What we get with Bissouma last night, he picks up the ball, Brian, and he carries the ball and he drives the ball forward, and often he loses the ball. Then what does that create? A big hole, right, behind him, which they exploit. And it keeps happening. I'm not saying Bissouma is a bad player, but in Ange's system, you have to understand the system and know if you do lose that ball. And him and Sarr were on the whole, they weren't pivoting. They were going forward together, which was leaving those holes time and time again. So for me, Bentancur is the whole core of Ange ball. He's the one for me that sits at the base of it and makes it happen. I know he's going to be the least sung hero of the piece, but when I'm watching Bissouma again last night, he really was, he lost the ball a lot. Yes, he took players on and he drove forward, which is great, but he kept leaving space.
Listen, before we get on to special mentions, this deserves a very huge positive. Just the fact you look at when I saw Lanksker and Moore starting, I was like, okay, they're there for first half, maybe 60 minutes. Obviously, Lanksker went off later on, but for Mikey Moore to get a full 90 minutes and finally show what he can do, and pick the right game, the right competition, and he didn't let anyone down, did he?
No, I mean, for me, I've been seeing him since he was 15, and is it Graham? It's Graham, isn't it? We know, like, goes to the football. I said to Graham a year ago, I think it was, that he reminds me of Paul Gascoigne. And he said, what do you mean? I said, because he plays upright with his barrel chest. He's got a build. The way he takes players on. Listen, I said then he's a generational talent. I don't take any of it back. In fact, I'm more convinced now he's a generational talent. He's probably going to be the best player we've produced since Harry Kane. He's a completely different player, but I think he is going right to the very, very top. He showed players how to play football last night. When you saw the likes of Timo Werner go missing, players of his age and his experience should be the rock that these other younger players cling to, for direction and stuff. But he was missing. Whereas Mikey Moore, he offered himself time and time again. Every time he picked up the ball, he drove it, and he was involved with both goals. Fantastic last night. Fantastic.
Well, do you know what? Let's get on to special mentions, because I think there's a few that we can talk about. We're not going through the whole team. Obviously, this section, apart from games like the Man U, we will pick out the few that deserve it or warrant it, in our opinion. Jonny, who's your first one you want to talk about?
I'm going to talk about Will Lanksker, right? And again, another player that I said, I think he has the physicality. He's got the build of a butterfly swimmer, big shoulders, big build, and he has got something you can't teach. It's a natural instinct. He knows how to drift into space. He knows how to make those runs. The only thing that never went for him last night is his touch. He had one where he dived in and it hit the corner of his shoulder. His hold-up play was really good. I mean, honestly and truthfully, I don't think he deserved to come off. It was a kind of strange move because he whipped him off, Brian. And when he whipped him off, we had no striker on, and that's when they started coming back into the game. He had to put Solanke on after about 10 minutes because the ball kept coming back. Because without Lanksker up there, no one was holding it up. I don't think he's going to let us down. I think he should be kept with the squad. And I because we're going to have injuries, and I just think that he had a really, really strong game, and I thought he was going to be superb, and he was.
So yeah, listen, I think Lanksker did himself. I think it's very, very clear to see why we let Valise and why we let Dane Scarlett go, because this guy clearly is head and shoulders above them. Got himself into very, very dangerous positions. Very unlucky with his shoulder that went over the bar, the volley, and also that beautiful sweeping move with Archie Gray with a little back heel, Basuma, and then that through ball. He did himself. Do you know what? There was a big responsibility to chuck you in and go, right, here's your first start for Spurs.
Yeah.
And in a game that could have been very, very, with that atmosphere, could have been very, very daunting. I think he handled himself brilliantly. I'm going to speak about another youngster. And I think Archie Gray was magnificent yesterday. People, listen, I think he was a lot better in the second half than the first half. First half, we're putting him in the centre of defence. Now, like it or before I do that, Peter is in the chat and Peter has gifted someone a membership. So if you are lucky enough to have received your membership from Peter, please do thank him. Peter, thanks for your incredible support of the channel, as always. Where was I? Archie Gray. I honestly think that playing centre of defence with remote, whenever you jiggle that defence, I think the big problem, and I think Sniper said it, or Barbaric said it, that if we don't keep a straight defence or sort out the defence, nothing's going to happen. Like they say, strikers win your games, defences win your titles. Yes, he has to keep chopping and changing because of suspensions, injuries, freshness. But we need to get. I do agree we need to get a settled one. But Dragusin's suspension didn't help. What we do with Mickey van der Ven to keep him fit and firing is another thing. And obviously we can talk. There's no point going on about the Spence thing every single time because we can't do anything about it. We all know it. Can't do anything about it. But for Archie Gray, who isn't a centre back but played there pre-season, did it in that half. Didn't concede. There were a couple of shaky moments. That offside goal as well. I think in the left back position he was brilliant. A lot of stuff was coming. And what I will say with him as well is Timo Werner didn't come back to help him at all. Never. Or offer any kind of support like when Porro has support. And I honestly think him playing centre back, right back, left back, he may not look brilliant at it now, but it's all part of his education. When he goes into the number 6, that guy's going to see things as a number 6 to be that defensive cover. He's going to realise, the left back should be here or the centre back. I think for his development, would I want him playing preferably in his normal position for Europa League? Of course I would. Of course I would. But he's come in. He's played 290 minutes. We've won both games. He looked very good at right back in the first one. And I think he's done himself no harm at all, Jonny.
Listen, he was my number one demand for signing last January. Unfortunately, didn't come in January.
Yeah.
All I know is that he played in midfield, but after the injury that they had at Leeds, he had to play at right back. But go and watch him. When he played against Chelsea in that midfield role, he is a midfielder. He's a 6. He's an 8. He's got skills. He reminds me of a young Isco. I know that's high praise, but that's what I believe. And I think we will see it. Right now, that position isn't available. You've got Bentancur, you've got Basuma, you've got players fighting for that position. So that's not really open to him. Obviously, if an injury comes about, he's going to get it. But believe me, you have not seen the best of Archie Gray. And I said it last week, if you get time, if you go onto my Instagram account, you'll see a video at the top there of Archie Gray playing in the middle of the park, and see how good he is with his feet. His feet are fantastic, 2 quick feet. Anyway, my other player yesterday, as well as Timo Werner, went absolutely AWOL and didn't help the kids. The one player who did help the kids last night was unbelievable, which was Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro was unbelievable last night. 120 touches, 8 out of 11 ground duels won, 5 out of 5 dribbles completed. He had a shot which was really unlucky. His passion. I love it every single time, right? When I go to away games or, you know, at the home games, when we score a goal, he is the player that runs to the fans, and his celebration is the strongest and the biggest of them all. It's like he loves playing for this club. I was going to say that now when they find out. He absolutely loves the club. It's like he, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if soon he hasn't got the cockerel on his arm, because he, you know, you can't fake that passion. I mean, he might just be a passionate player, but I believe, and I think a lot of fans, especially when you're away from home, feel that he has an affinity with his club and the fans, and it means everything to him. He played so many games last year. I'm just a bit worried, Brian. I need to see his workload drop off. You know, I don't know. We didn't have another option, because otherwise I would have preferred to see Gray play at right back.
I think that's what you are going to see next game, Jonny. I think that's because Dragusin's back.
No,
I think it's what yes, he is, because it weren't because it wasn't non-violent conduct. He's only out for 1. He's back for the next game.
Oh, is that right?
He's back for AZ Alkmaar. So hopefully they're refreshing. I think. Listen, I think what he'll do as well, he'll bring Destiny back, because Destiny, as we've seen people saying that Destiny is back in, Son is out, so we can have a discussion about who we're going to play there at the question time.
Did we miss Son?
You see that question has cut. That's a question that's come up. Listen, I would rather Son was in the team than out the team, especially when it's Werner at left wing. But I know what you're saying. But I'm going to. You mentioned Pedro Porro. That man is a god. That man, like I said,
unbelievable.
He loves this club, and it radiates out of him. And I mentioned it on We Are Tottenham TV yesterday. Did you all see his version of the triple jump? The triple jump is obviously the hop, skip, and jump. He did the dive, nutmeg, and post. That move, literally, I thought it was a dive to begin with. There was very, very slight contact. He went down very, very easily. But rather than just staying around and rolling around, got up, nutmeg someone. Yeah. And then just that little curler.
I didn't get the penalty.
I didn't get the penalty. It's like, screw you. I'll just do this. My God. Right. It's time for me to talk about a player. Big up, Phil P. Big up, Phil P. I'm going to bring up a man. Let's just say he came off the bench. Let's just say you called him Brenaldo.
Brenaldinho.
Brenaldo. I'm going to call him Brennan goddamn Johnson, who is now 5-5, who came off the bench, and you look at it, that first shot that hit the bar,
that was a great shot.
5 games ago, 6 games ago, he's not even attempting that.
That's Rose dead.
He's not, and if he did, probably that. What a shot. And I was sitting at the yard with a few people. Brian Ireland was there. And I was like, he's going to get one more chance. He's going to get one more chance. Now, will he take it? And as that ball came into him, got away from his man, and that was a confident finish. To just roll it in and kiss it off the post, I was over the god. And how vital that goal proves to be, because obviously they went up and got the consolation goal. He is a man on fire at the moment. I said on Ange management, and I said beforehand, I think he's going to be 6-6 by the end of the Brighton game. And I'm standing by it. What a turnaround from Brennan Johnson. Yeah, he came on with limited time, made an impact. And I'm hoping now, I still understand the people that aren't rating him, or I don't understand it myself, but people are saying, right, he's got to carry on doing this, blah, blah, blah. But he deserves praise now. He deserves a lot of praise, in fact. and he's proving that he's starting to turn the doubters, isn't he?
Listen, look, I've criticised him. I've never slaughtered him like like some. That's for sure. Have I been disappointed in him? Have I called him Brenda? I certainly have. But on the other flip side of that, I always said, he's young enough to improve and learn. And the biggest thing about all sports and, everything we do in life, confidence breeds confidence. And we've gone from a guy who had no belief in what he was doing to now belief in every time he can go up and score. But the one thing, the biggest improvement I've seen in Brenaldinho is not just the goal scoring, is unlike, again, I'm going to keep bringing up his name, but unlike Timo Werner, who again and again and again left Archie Gray out to dry on the weekend, yesterday, Brennan Johnson is tracking back.
Correct.
I was Wolves watching him. I couldn't have been any nearer. And I'm looking at him, mate, it's 60 minutes in. You're knackered. You got your hands on yours. What? How are you knackered? You're 22 years of age, right? You're meant to be tracking back. Why aren't you tracking back? He's tracking back now. And that's a part of the game which is just as important as scoring the goals. Okay, it's a team game, and you have to compete and be valid in every aspect of your game. And he's doing that right now. And, let's be honest, every time he gets the ball now, we think he's likely to score. Brendan the Rock Johnson, yeah.
Damn right. I'll take that. I'll definitely take that.
I think he's got lots of names now.
Jonny, do you know the other thing I'll quickly say about Brendan as well? And I think it helping him with this tracking back is we were asking him to do too much, or he was trying to, before this run, and we've spoken about this, we were playing very, very different to his strengths. Very, very different. Like I said, I spoke to a Nottingham Forest fan who said we played him on the counter. When we won the ball, we got it up to him, and he did that. He was doing what Ange was asking him, but he was doing it poorly to begin with. And I've been big. Obviously, I'm reveling in the praise of him, but there were games where he didn't track back. He didn't do that. But since that Coventry game, we have obviously asked him to play in a different way, or found a way to suit his strengths and his attributes, which is conserving more energy for him to be able to do that. And I think fair play to that man. He's going to keep scoring. And hopefully once he does it against Brighton, because he's scoring all different goals. That goal that he scored was a very well taken goal and deserves credit. Before I go on to your next special mention, we've just got a super chat come in from Vinny. Big up, Vinny. Past few weeks haven't been following football result in both Spurs and Ange-r on fire. Johnson deserved praise for not crying it out on social media with paid PR. Spot on, Vinny. I mean, listen, a footballer is talking us on that football pitch and helping his club get the results, and he has totally done that. And long may it continue, and long may it continue with him shutting the boo boys up. When these kind of things do happen and you've backed them, you know what, it's glorious to be on this side and say, yeah, do you know what? I told you.
Listen, we've had too many, I believe, Højbjerg got unfair criticism. I mean, some of the abuse he got, 3 years, he never hardly missed a game for a club. And then he just, the fans, when they turn, let's be honest. Okay, so my next guy.
Let me just say one thing. I want to say that Colin Cross has brought out. Colin Cross-Romano, he's already scored the same amount of goals he did all the last season, which I completely forgot about because I just keep thinking about the 15 contributions.
Yeah.
So he's already ahead of goals, and he's done that in a month. Well, actually, he's done that in 3 weeks. So he's got a long way to better himself. But yeah, who's your next special mention?
So my next one is another player who's come under criticism very unfairly. Again, really, really young at the early stages of his career, and yet people pick his holes in him and say he needs to be dropped and he's not good enough. Papa Mata Sarr, right? 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 games. Okay. He got the assist, he got the header for the Man United game. He got the goal last night. It was an important goal. And was it Brentford? Hang on. Brentford, wasn't it? Brentford he scored against Brentford as well.
No. He scored. Pape Matar scored again. What you mean, last season or this season?
No, this season.
This season he scored against Karabag.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry. He scored against the goal. Sorry, beg your pardon. Yeah, he scored the goal against Karabag, which was an important goal. He scored the goal last night, an important goal, and he got his head to Bergval's ball, which
for Man U,
Solanke put in. He's young, and I got to be honest with you. I actually feel sometimes, I remember at the beginning of last season where Bissouma and him dovetailed, and it very much looked like a father and son relationship where Papa Sarr looked up to Bissouma. I feel like often that Bissouma is now letting down Papa Matar with some of these runs. I do like to see the runs, I really do, but at the same time, he needs to be wary of what's going on. There was a moment there in the game where he made space for himself for a shot. The ball's under his foot. He just shifted the ball, bang. There aren't many of our players in our team right now who are doing that. He's doing that on a regular basis. I believe he's going to have plenty of goals like this. Or if they're not goals, Brian, they're going to be saves that the goalkeeper parries that Solanke's going to put in. But go back to the game. He shifted it. It was a really tight area. I want to see more of our players do. I want to see Maddison do that. Shift the ball out your feet, bang, hit the ball. So he's on form. 3 goals in 2 goals and an assist in 3 games, and he's making a difference.
So I will say, just like Phil Pierce just said, Pape Sarr is becoming Mr. Thursday Night. I think he played well. I'm a huge fan of his. He dropped off towards the end of last season. Didn't start this season like he was. Do you know what? This will show the strength in depth now that he's not first choice. The fact that someone who was a very key performer in the first part of last season cannot get into the Premier League to start in 11 and isn't even coming off the bench really, apart from late on, shows that the midfield department is strengthening. He took his goal very well, I have to say. He had to shift it. I mean, do you remember when the champion...
he's just 22. You know how they go on about what he is? He literally was just 22 last week, I think, or the week before.
What I will say with him as well is, with that goal, do you remember when the championship was called the Angie whatever, the biggest goal-mouth scrambles you'd ever see in that division? That was a goal-mouth scramble, a good old goal-mouth scramble. The depth in the midfield is growing. It's finding that right combination. I think he's found it in the Premier League. It's finding it in the Europa League to find the right one. But Sarr's doing himself no harm at all. But I am going to mention someone. I think Psycho Fox did it, or it was someone. I want to talk about Big Vic. Because you know what? And I'm just going to mention, I'm going to go back a few games because I want to try and keep it to this game. But after the Brentford game and after the set pieces last season, not being commanded in his box and not... shot stopping never been in doubt, but his distribution, everything was getting spoken about. When we saw him against Karabag, okay, brilliant. It's good to see him in there. And I think he needed that game badly. I think he desperately needed the game to get some confidence in him. And since then, he has not put a single foot wrong, in my opinion. He made some incredible saves against Karabag. Made a couple of wonderful saves against United. And my God, a point-blank save. Jonny's decided to disappear. Okay, so I'll carry on. God knows why. He's back. 1 sec. I don't know why he disappeared, Jonny, mate. But I think Vicario, people are saying he needs a rest. We need to rest him. We need to do this.
Rest him for what?
Jonny, this is the thing. What I was about to say is, for me, and I don't know what people feel, for me, it's literally play him constantly until we've qualified, and then you can start tinkering and maybe going, right, we'll give Austin or whoever.
Would you give Brandon Austin or would you give the tree? What is the point?
I don't know. I don't listen.
You're giving Brandon Austin. Sorry, I was just going to say, you're giving Brandon Austin a 5-year contract.
That's the thing. The thing is as well. You got to remember, you've qualified, and then the automatic qualification, and the higher you get, the better. So I don't know if I mean once we've qualified, then you do it, or once we know we're in the top
Top eight,
kind of seeded?
You have
Yeah,
to
but then there's another top. There's a top of the top kind of thing where it's you'll get the favourable tie.
Well, no, it's the top 8 don't have to play any more games. The people who are below 8 have to play 2 knockout games, and they're not seeded. So if you finish in the top 8, you'll be seeded, and you play 2 less games. Which coming up to February, March, you don't want to be doing.
Exactly. Hopefully, it'll be the Carabao Cup final, so those extra games will not be needed. But yeah, I think Vicario the last 3 games, but yesterday made an incredible couple of saves, Jonny.
Yeah, he was. Listen, he was great. Even Glenda begrudgingly said he made a great save from one of the guys there. Yeah, I mean, listen, as a shot stopper, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. He'll get better with his feet. But I think the responsibility, I think as a human being, Vicario's unbelievable. I think people forget this is a guy who gave up his time without being asked and went down to look at, go and visit the kids. I mean, I'm talking about young kids and give them time about goalkeeping and stuff like that and visiting stuff. This is a guy that took people in from the Ukraine into his house when he was, at his old club.
Yeah.
And he's into charity, genuine. This isn't a guy who just did a bit of PR. This is a good soul. And I think, Ange has seen that. That's why he's now part of the leadership group. And he's good at giving the shit, but he's also good at putting his arm around people. A leader.
Yep, I will say, Simon, I've just seen your comment about a special mention, and I'll do that when we get to Ange, actually. So I've started it. We will deal with it. But Lee Harvey, channel member for 9 months since we started memberships. Thanks for your continued support, Lee. It's always appreciated and a pleasure to see you in the chat. If Sean Slater is still in the chat, I'll know about it because he's going to comment on this. Should we have kept Donnelly to play on the left? Jonny, what's your thoughts?
Listen, I've watched a lot of Jamie Donnelly play. I think if he'd have stayed, he wouldn't have got so many minutes. I think he wanted to go away on loan. I spoke to his dad at a couple of the games. He said that he wanted to play football.
Yeah.
I mean, at Orient the other week, midweek, I think he came on after about 60 minutes. He didn't start the game in the league game. If he's not starting for Orient, what game time is he going to get here? So I really like Jamie, and I think Jamie's a very talented player. I don't know. I think I think he is good that he's going out on loan, to be honest, playing in that level. Hopefully he'll come back along with Alfie Devine. We shall see. It's hard to get minutes there. Who's he going to play instead of this season?
So this is the thing. First of all, I don't know what Daz means, but Phil P's put it in as well. So, Daniel's accounting school. There we go. I understand now. See, Sean was in the chat. He said yes. I'm going to say no. And Sean, I don't mean to offend you. I know you like I am with Divine. He's going to get more minutes at Leyton Orient than he is Tottenham, without a shadow of a doubt. If he's not, Spurs will probably recall him back in 6 months if they've got the option in January. If he's not going to play, I don't think. Well, he started playing left back all pre-season, didn't he? So would he have done that rather than Archie Gray? I think. Here we go. We've got him on. He's watched every game, and I've spoken. Yeah, he does speak to him regularly. So it's good to see him getting minutes. I don't think he would have got them at Tottenham. I think.
I mean, he's not even started with the respect.
He has started some games.
He has started some of the games, yeah, and he's created, but he didn't start on Wednesday. Josh Keeley's not even starting. Josh Keeley wasn't even on the bench. He's been backup keeper. I want to make sure that when we take our talent from our squad, that they go to a club where they're going to get played. I don't want Will Lanksker to go in January on a loan and end up like Scarlett is at Oxford, and he's coming on for 5 minutes off the bench. If you're not good enough to be playing for Oxford, then you need to drop down a division, basically, because you're not good enough.
He'll come back stronger. Now, let's have a more in detail chat about the youngster before we go on to Ange. And again, I've got a lot to say to Ange, a lot of positive, a hell of a lot of positives for our manager, our conductor, whatever you want to call him, the man on the touchline, whatever. But Mikey Moore, let's go into him, Johnny.
Listen, look, I've been waxing lyrical. My friend of mine is, as you know, is in football, and I was going on about him about 18 months ago, and he said, "Listen, I can't listen about a 15-year-old kid. You know, come back to me afterwards. Do you know what I mean?" And I said, "Look, you know what I know, and you know, I'm telling you, I've not seen a player like that at 15 years of age playing at the under-18s and playing the way he does. There's something special about him. The first time I saw him, I just knew there was something special. You know, the way he glided past people, his balance on the ball. And as I said, I know it's a big thing, but he reminds me in some ways of Paul Gascoigne, the way Paul Gascoigne plays and glided past people, you know, those mazy runs that he made. And he's just 17. He's just 17. He was 17 in August. You know, he's not 17, nearly 18.
Yeah.
He's 16, just 17. What a player. He looked accomplished last night. He looked like he'd been there forever. And I've got to tell you, I don't think any of it phases him. I just would say to you that at 17 years of age, just 17, he's still growing. His bones are still growing. And you've got to be really careful you don't overplay him. We've seen it before with other young players that have come through. They get played really early and then they get some injury. You got the boy at Brighton, the striker. What's his name?
Ferguson,
yeah. You know, you got to be careful. You got to nurture them through. But what a player. And last night, he was involved in both goals.
Yep.
The through ball, the ball he played for Timo Werner was absolutely sublime. You couldn't have asked for it to be put any better. And the other thing I liked about him, he was beating himself up with that lovely ball that Brennan Johnson put in, which caught him on his back foot, and he should have been running in his position on that left-hand side to be coming in. But he played on the right last night for nearly the whole game. Yep. Okay, it was only when Brennan Johnson came on that he went back to his natural left side. So there was no negatives.
So what I will say before I go any further, kudos. You're lucky that I love you and you're a good friend of mine, because this is blasphemy of the highest order. Alfie will make it. Alfie will succeed. Mark my words. Been banging on about this guy for long enough. Like people will now with Mikey Moore. He will make it. Trust me. Just look what he did pre-season. He'll make it. But back to Mikey Moore. Listen, the most important thing was he got 90 minutes. I didn't think he was going to get it. He got it. And he looked like he'd been playing there for like an established first teamer. Nothing fazed him. Very impressed with his weight of passing. A couple of times where he had a bit of a rush of blood to the head, but that's what you're expecting from a 17-year-old kid who's obviously, when he plays at people his age, he just walks past them. He just waltzes past them. It's like a man playing boys' games when he plays with people around his age. Very, very promising. Now, we'll have the discussion now. We're talking about Mikey because people have been speaking about, and I said this on We Are Tottenham TV yesterday. It looks like, from what I've seen and people saying in the chat, Sonny is out on Sunday. And I'm going to go to you first, Johnny, because I know my answer, and I'll go into it why. But Sonny is out, by the sounds of it. Who is starting? We know Solanke and Johnson will be playing. Who are you playing on the left to start? And people in the chat, there's 159 of you.
Listen, look, I think you're just going to keep plodding away with Timo. But I've got to tell you, I think he was pissed off with Timo last night. The final straw was that beautiful ball set up.
Yep.
saw Ange, like when he came on, you could see he was pissed off, and he came straight off. There was like no, I don't know what the gap was. It was very, very short between him missing that chance and being dragged off. He was anonymous. He was anonymous there. He was anonymous at commentary. Yes, he beat his man. For me personally, I'd like to see Mikey Moore. You know, if you're good enough, you're old enough, is the old adage.
Yeah.
And you know, the first thing I would do, I would go and get a psychologist for Timo Werner and sit him in there, a sports psychologist, and sit him down and try to work out what is going on in his head, because it's a mental issue, right? The guy's got the ability, he's got the pace. I think he's got the third fastest time run by a player in the league this season, behind Mickey van der Ven and what's his name, Anthony Elanga at Forest. I think he's number 3. He's got the pace. He's got the dribbling skills. We saw he kept beating his man against Man United. But when he gets in that final third, it's like a rabbit in the bloody headlights. And until that's fixed, he needs to be dropped. He needs to be dropped. Play Mikey Moore. That's what the fans say. That's what the fans want. I believe he feels he can do it. But there is a balance, Brian, between playing him but not overplaying him. You with me?
Correct, because I'm going to say everyone. It's a pretty much a very, very heavy swing in Mikey Moore's favour. But I'm bringing Yogi Bear's comment up because this is where I'm at.
Yeah.
This is where I'm at. I think if he was going to play him Sunday, he would have played 90 minutes. As I said on We Are Tottenham TV, I think Mikey Moore now has to start every single Europa League game. Every single one of them, whether it be the left, whether it be the right, he has to start. I think, yes, I'm a firm believer that if you're young enough, you're good enough, whatever it may be. I do not want to play him back to back and then come in with all this expectation. And then not saying he won't deliver, but I think this has got to be managed very, very correctly. What I do think is he should come on in the second half. And normally he's come on with 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, whatever. We've got to start increasing that and build him up. But I think in the Europa League, he has to start after that performance, every single game. The one game where I question starting him, and it's not because of his talent, it's because I wouldn't start him maybe not Galatasaray. Galatasaray, I don't think he should start with any that place. You just go, right, experience, you're playing, because this ground is going to, that game is going to be like no other. But that's a further Ange management.
There is a 2-week break, Brian. See, the only thing is, I would say to you, after this, there's a 2-week break. So should he play at Brighton, I mean, he will be called up for England. That there is no doubt.
Yep.
But I don't know where the England under-18s are playing. But I would say that he could start this game. I think he could play.
Yeah, listen, do I think he could do it? Do I think he can play 90 minutes in the Premier League? Probably. Well, actually, more than probably.
It's a generational talent, Brian.
Listen, and I'm not comparing him to Harry Kane just yet, as in where he's going to go in his career. Hopefully he will. But Harry Kane started in the Europa League, then started getting 90 minutes in the Europa League, then came on as a sub and did what he did against Aston Villa. Or he started a few games under Tim Sherwood. He was gradually brought into being a first teamer in the Premier League. Do I want to see him come on and get like 30, 35, 25 minutes in the second half against Brighton? Absolutely.
I think he's way ahead of Harry. I mean, listen, be serious. Mikey Moore, like for like, at their age, he's way ahead. He's way ahead of.
No, but what I'm saying, Jonny, is how we phased Kane in. Kane went out on loans, and I think we just have to be. Kev, you reckon play him at Galatasaray? Okay. Listen, people see how any game, or if it's you're young enough, you're good enough. Every opinion is welcome. Obviously, here on Tottenham Tour, I just honestly think, from the way I see it, is especially after night. If he'd maybe come off after the hour on yesterday, then maybe he would have had a chance to start. He is 17. He'll recover quickly. We'll have to wait and see. But personally, if I was in charge, I would phase him in and give him more minutes in the second half, even 45, and see how he handles it. Because you've got to remember, this game is going to be very up and down. Brighton's going to be a manic game. But Jonny, you were just about to say something before.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just would like to say a quick couple of things about Lucas Bergvall. I've been championing him. I think he's a class player. But last night, I felt that he was trying too hard.
Yep.
And he was trying to release the balls. Before, normally he's scanned the area and he's passed the ball before he's received it because of his peripheral vision. But he wasn't that player last night. I think he panicked a lot and tried to release the ball, snapping the ball. He didn't have that flow to him last night. I mean, I'm not going to criticise him too much. I was just a little disappointed because I saw him play pre-season and saw him up close. So I was a little disappointed in him, but he'll get other chances. I just think he was trying to make up for that other game against Carriabag, where he got sacked off. And he was desperate to show himself. And I think it didn't quite come off for him.
Jonny, let's do it. The big man himself. Off you go.
Well, I called our academy our class of 92. Now, I didn't say we were going to go on and win the treble, right? That would be absolute nonsense. But yep. I said that this was the greatest group of academy kids that I've ever seen at the club, right? And I'm old enough to have seen a lot of kids come through. Well, not that many, but, I've seen a lot of our academy stuff. And this, for me, is the best. And asked last night about Busby's babes and this one and this one. They said, are these Ange's angels? And he dismissed
people come up with these names. Bloody hell.
Ange's angels. And he goes, no, mate, you're going to have to come up with a better one than that, right? And he was not happy with that one. It was cheese, pure 100% cheese, that one, excuse me. So, look, I didn't see it all, but I was waxing lyrical about Mikey Moore and what he can achieve. I think, he doesn't need to do that much talking right now. It's all going to be on the pitch. You can see now we're getting the results. The pressure's off him, and that sort of grumpy response to some stupid questions, which that Ange's Angels wasn't snapped down in his usual way and dismissed. He sort of laughed and he sort of said, "You'll have to do better than that," right? But as obviously a man who's starting to feel a little bit more confident in his team and what his team's doing. Also, I don't know what's happened, but I'm starting to see a lot more interaction with his players on the bench when they've come over and him talking to them, which we didn't see at all last season. And we didn't see it at all in the first few games, especially not the Arsenal game where he looked like he was ignoring them. But look, let's just keep doing what we're doing. And, he's obviously pushing the positivity. And as you saw in that book that I think I read out a couple of weeks ago, where it starts off with everyone, the fans and the press saying he doesn't know what he's doing. He can't defend set pieces. He can't do this. He can't do that. It's all going wrong. He's naive. And then it starts to turn. Then you start to get the results. Oh, he might have a point. And then suddenly it all starts to come together. I think we've had 45, 50 corners against us this season. And I think we've only conceded one goal.
Yep.
Against Arsenal. I wish we'd stop giving them away. But Montgomery...
Which, one second, before you say that, Jonny, let me just bring up this comment because I said I had it started. We can discuss it. Where is it? There you go.
Right. Okay.
So,
So Nick Montgomery, he's brought him in and he's done a really good job on the set pieces. We're using more of a hybrid system now rather than zonal. Last season, the zonal was killer. We was getting caught every single time. I would like to see our special teams, like an American football. Brian, you watch that? Special teams. Arsenal look like special teams. Every time they get a corner, they've got another set piece worked out. Fantastic. I think we need to spend more time on it. But from a defensive point of view, we're looking really good. From an offensive point of view, it was only Bergval's corner that Sarr got onto that we did well. We had 11 corners last night. Every single one of them was a short corner. Not one of them really did anything. I don't feel like
there was that one from Lanksker
that's
that
it.
did well with Porro's delivery. That's Porro.
But nothing else. There was we're not really creating anything from any of our corners, from our set piece corners.
Well, I'm surprised Bergval wasn't on corners when he was there.
Correct.
But I am to speak about Ange, and there is a load of positivity about to come from me, as always has been when it comes to the manager. Now, listen, I know there's people in the chat, and I'm going to say hello to a very, very dear friend of mine, Scott M, who is in here. And he is someone, and he's got a right for his opinion. Everyone has a right to their opinion, like I have a right to my opinion of the board and certain players. Everyone has their right to talk about what they want with the manager, whatever may be. Now, for me, Ange Postecoglou, like I said, I've never turned on the manager. I started to worry for him personally halfway through the Coventry, or a bit for when we were 1-0 down to Coventry, because everything was piping up and it was getting worrying. And it was the first time I was a little bit concerned for him. He deserves a huge, 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 huge amount of praise, because the knives were out. Everything was coming out. The media were questioning him. Everyone was, and the fan base. And like I just said, I at one point was like, Ange, I'm concerned. It's the first time I kind of quivered, not to go Ange out, but nowhere near that, because I'd never say it. But I was like, what is happening here? We've gone on to win 5 games, 5 different ways, 5 different teams, 3 different competitions. He's tweaked things. He's changed things. He's found the key to Brennan Johnson, or Brennan Johnson has found the key to him. He's played inverted fullbacks. He's kept them out wide. When he's kept them out wide, he's let Maddison do his thing. And getting back now to yesterday's game, what we're talking about today. When I saw that lineup, I immediately put a tweet out saying, I've heard that saying, go big or go bold. Well, Andrew's probably said, why not both, mate? Because I think every single Spurs fan was shocked to see that front 3. Shocked to see Gray at centre-back. But he's got it bang on. Yes, we gave away opportunities. Yes. But what I don't agree. People were saying when we're losing and doing bad, it's a result-based business and we're not winning. And it'll be based on wins. And now we are winning games. Look at the teams we've beaten. You can only beat what is in front of you. You can only play what is in front of you. I think the one concern I had with so many games coming up was with the Europa League, like I said against Carabao, don't make wholesale changes like you did against Coventry, you did against Fulham. You now have to start rotating and working out. Right, we've got Brighton on Sunday, which is a big game, regardless of where we're going to finish in the league. I think we'll both be challenging for Europe, depending on what competition. He's got to keep his eye on the ball. I think he made the right changes, and it obviously looked the right way. We won. And I think he deserves an enormous amount of praise for what he done. And yesterday, we got the job done again, Jonny.
Yeah, I think, Brian, listening to you, I think you really feel like we could do the treble this year.
No. Yeah, the Carabao, the FA, Europa.
Yeah. No, listen, look, we want to remain positive. We've had so much negativity. Look, what I will say is, whatever the criticisms I've had of Ange, and I have had them, and, I still have them, in some of the things that have gone on. I would rather watch this football any day of the week than the football we've watched for the last 3 or 4 years, and that's the truth. And did I want him to get sacked even then? No, because we can't afford to get him to sacked. Listen, our motto is to dares to do, and he's doing it, and he's daring to do it. So let's applaud it. I do worry about our defence. I'm not going to lie. The battle of the high lines on the weekend, the high wire act between Brighton and Tottenham, could be anything. Could be 4-3, that sort of game, couldn't it? Could be anything, that game.
Well, here's the thing. I just want to know, or if we beat Brighton, and I'm going to be serious, I think we will. I think it's going to be an absolute kamikaze game. I think it's going to be an absolute. Probably, I think it could be one of the games where it will have the most record amount of chances, not from just us. I mean, combined, it is going to be a non-stop, back and forth humdinger. If he wins that game and makes it 6 out of 6, then what people are going to say? It's
only my fantasy team, Brian. You heard it here.
It's a result-based business. 5 wins in 3 different competitions, and it's like literally, like I said, against Coventry, it could if we had lost that, it could have been God knows where we'd be right now. I still think Ange would be there, but I think it'd be we've won 5 games.
Yeah,
people wanted to stop. Listen, the inverted fullbacks came back yesterday, but as we were speaking earlier, I think he's doing it on a game-by-game basis now. He can see where he needs to do certain things, and I think what he's doing right now, he deserves a hell of a lot of praise, and I will continue to stand by him and back him. I will continue to say, let's see where we go. I will continue to say, why should we sack a manager? Because the next one that comes in, we're just repeating the same process over and over again. I think he's now starting to do and starting to tweak. He doesn't seem so we're doing it my way or the highway kind of. We're doing this the whole goddamn time. Inverted. He is making subtle changes. There are improvements. Do we need to be more rigid and not give away so many chances? Yes, but it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen.
We're going to be tested. We're going to be we're going to be really tested on Sunday. You've got Welbeck. I'm not sure if João Pedro's fit, but they've got some great young players, really quick. They play the high line, and they will push us, and they will cause us lots and lots of problems. But we will be causing them problems. I think their centre back is out, which is good news. I hope João Pedro is not making it, because he's the one that sort of makes them tick in the middle. So let's go. They're unbeaten in the last 6 games at Brighton, and I haven't seen. I've saw the last 2 times at Brighton. I saw us lose when Lloris broke his shoulder or his arm in the goal.
Yeah,
and then I was there last year when we were 4-0 down, but we could have come back and through 4-4. Let's do the questions.
Let's do the question. Yeah, I will. And I will just say, because I can see the chat going at this when it comes to Ange. Like I said, everyone has an opinion. Everyone, thankfully, keeps it kind of respectful in this chat. And I will say, I am very, very anti the board. That will never change. I've said to people, the way I deliver the message and the way I go about it now has completely changed. But I will still, if I need to be over in London and protest, I'll be there. If I need to go for him, I'll go there. And that's where I am with the board. And people will feel that about managers and players. That is all part and parcel of football. That is all part and parcel of football. The bit I'm seeing at the moment, which is not getting to me as in it's affecting me, but I've realised that when I'm doing this, it's like people can criticise and say, well, like for instance, Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson can't shoot, can't score, can't defend, can't do this. Scores 5 and 5, gets assist. Oh, well, they're against shit teams. Let's see him do it against a big team. Oh, the tap is. Oh, there's it. Ange Postecoglou, it's a results-based business. They'll use, we've won 1 in XYZ against big teams. We haven't got clean sheets in this. We haven't kept clean sheets in that. This. And then we win 5 games out of 5, which is all you can do. And then it's like, well, he's done this wrong. But we've got through to the next round and taken 12 points out of 12 in 2 competitions.
Listen, Brian, there's no right or wrong. Listen,
correct.
There's no right or wrong opinion. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. But football, that's what we love about football, because football is a game of opinions, right? We never all agree. You know, we could all sit down and watch a game and we could all pick out the one that we thought was great or who was good and who was bad. It happens all the time, right? You know, and there's still people out there.
10 seconds.
There's people there who, you know, who are still Ange out. There's lots of people that are Ange out. I had my doubts on Ange. You know, I'm not going to say I had my doubts about Brennan Johnson coming up last year, the physicality. But I knew that he was young enough that he still had time to mature. And it's not wrong that someone wants Ange out if that's what they believe. I personally feel that there could easily be a balance between defence and attack, and I would prefer to see 3 at the back. I would prefer to see Dragusin and Mickey van der Ven and Romero in a back 3. I think it gives us more stability and still allows us to go forward and attack, because those 3 players, all 3 of them, like to come forward with the ball. Look at Mickey van der Ven coming forward with the ball. Look at Dragusin coming forward with the ball. Great headers, great defensive. And then you know Romero is always there, you know, trying to shoot or trying to head the ball into the goal. You know, all 3 of them are dangerous. I just feel, for me, that's the weakest thing. I'd like to see more of a balance with Ange between defence and attack. I believe we have the players to do it, and I'd like to see 3 at the back, but he's never going to change.
Exactly. I will say, before we go to the questions, the plonker, the dipstick in Lord Rodney Trotter has just nailed it completely, which is, I'm happy enough with Ange, but then goes on to say, but he's a long way to go to make me fully on board. That is completely bang on. That's balance. That's like, right, do you know what? That's credit where credit. Fair play to you. And listen, like I said to you before we get on to these questions, I completely understand where people could be, but when you've won 5 and 5, let's enjoy it. Let's say, do you know what? We're in a bit of a dark hole. We weren't getting the results we needed or what we wanted. Well, now we're getting them. Let's enjoy it. But let's do the question.
I was just going to say, Brian, we're going to enjoy them. But I was just going to say, the last time this happened was 3.5 years ago, when we had this run, and then we lost to Dynamo Zagreb. I think it was 3-0. And then 4 games later, Mourinho was sacked. So hopefully that's not going to repeat itself, and we're going to go on and carry this run on. Let's go.
Exactly. There we go. Let's do the questions. Now, I cannot see. Now I've gone on to the question section. I cannot see what any of you 191 people are typing. So we've got these questions. And
guys, before we go into questions, Brian, if you're in the chat, please, to help the algorithm and help the channel, please could you hit the like button? It's the thumb button. It's not painful, doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything, but it really helps us, and we'd really appreciate it if you could hit that button and comment. You know, comments in the in that section also helps the algorithm. Really, sorry to ask for that, but it helps. Sorry, Brian, carry on.
No worries at all. Let's do it. Wait, I just want to see if because Cam just put something. He's done part 1. I'll be interested to see what part 2. Andrew's second year at Celtic. He had his bench sorted with players that were basically first teamers. A player would get a knock, which would then let the bench that. The second part will be coming in. And then obviously the dipstick has responded to me. Big up, Brian, absolutely. But I need 4 out of the next 2. It's a result. Yeah, exactly. If we could get our next 2 games in the league are Brighton and West Ham. Yeah. If we get 4 points, obviously I'm sure Rodney will come in and say, I said 4 and 2, fair play. This is it. And then if we get those 2 wins, it will be massive. But right, let's do the questions. First one, Lee Harvey, big up to you, buddy. Morning, Brian and Jonny. Hope you're both well. Good performance, 3 points. But do you think we play the same team against Roma and Galatasaray? Jonny?
No. Roma will be an altogether different team.
Well, do you know what, Joe? Just add to that as well. We've got to go to Rangers as well.
Yeah, no. Listen, I watched Rangers last night. They were shocking. Leon had a fantastic front line. The front line were fantastic, but the midfield and defence were poor. But Rangers were poor. I think Roma will be a different proposition. They're wily, they're experienced. I know they've gone through a bit of trouble since Mourinho left. That's always what happens when he leaves a club. They go into freefall. But they will be difficult to beat. And I would say that we will play a more experienced team against Roma. That's my opinion. I think against AZ, we'll play a similar team.
Yep. I will say, what I will say about this as well is, I said at the Carabao game, what I hope he does is the 3 and 4 that he brought in against Carabao and rested for the next game, bring those 4 that he rested back in and choose another 3-4 is how I'd like to see it done. Especially, I think he's looking at the next game ahead as well and wanting to keep the players fit. Roma, Galatasaray. Listen, Roma and Rangers, I'm going to put on one tier. Galatasaray, I'm going to put on a whole nother tier. As I said, back home, I've got a very big Turkish circle of friends, and my nearest and dearest in that lot is a huge, massive Fenerbahce fan. And I've watched a lot of Turkish football when I'm around his house and whatever. When we go to Istanbul and go to Galatasaray, it's going to be like nothing. We go to the big games. We've been to Real Madrid. We've been to Barcelona. We've been to these big teams. And that's playing the big team, and their stadium is big. And the Galatasaray fans and Turkish football in general is insane. I would, for the Galatasaray game alone, go completely full strength. But the Galatasaray game is sandwiched between Manchester. I think it's Manchester City in the Cup. Then we've got Aston Villa in the league. And then it's Galatasaray away. It's 3 games in a row where he's going to have to look. But I would go as full strength as humanly possible.
We got 2 days after Manchester City. We got Crystal Palace. I mean, that's a joke. 2 days.
Yeah, he's going to have to be very. I would go as full strength as possible.
2 days. It's pathetic at this start of the season.
Listen, it always is the way. Listen, when it comes to the fixture list, there is absolutely nothing. It's not even talk about, because nothing is ever going to change until the Premier League teams say right, enough. Next question, D&B. Wait, if they have bet, yeah, we discussed that. I apologise. So Paul Clark, here we go. Big up, Paul. That was only in the group stage. Oh, sorry, that was when we said about they lost. Yeah, but I was talking about English teams, Paul. Only English teams. Here we go. Question. Speaking of Jet Spence, do you think he's getting a little Celso treatment from Ange? Jonny, I know you're quite opinionated on this. What's your thoughts?
I get into trouble for supporting him. It's like the weirdest bloody thing. When you don't support a player, you get abuse, and when you support a player, you get abuse. I can't work it out. Look, I've gone on about this since the very start, and I feel like I was vindicated against Coventry. I was vindicated against Man United. He should be in that squad. What is the point of having that bloody tree in goal? Right, when you're not going to play him. They don't trust him. That's why last night you saw Vicario in goal and not the tree. And why do you offer a 5-year contract to Brandon Austin if he's still behind a tree? Right? I don't understand it, right? Jet Spence should be in that team. And yes, he has been let down, I would say. Not starting him at right back in the game against Coventry. And only coming on at left back when Destiny got injured. Yeah. I don't know what he's got to do to prove himself, but he should be there.
Yeah, well, listen, what I will say this, I think Jet Spence, who obviously the club came out and said even Ange came out and said he's been very impressive and exceeded expectations during the pre-season. I think with performances like Coventry and Manchester United, he is starting to literally say, do you know what? Not only have you impressed me, now I can start. He's impressed him. And now I think he's earning his trust. I think there's two different sides to it. I think there's showing it that he's here and ready to play, and there's earning his trust and belief that he can do it. I think we might see a bit more of him in the Premier League in the coming times to rotate when he does have Porro and Destiny. I think he's going to get a bit more game time. I expect him to start against Manchester City in the Cup, put it that way. And I think he is starting to earn his trust. So I don't think he's getting before pre-season and he started playing him. I would absolutely agree with you, Big Ticker. But I actually think Jed Spence is changing his opinion. Soul Sniper Gaming. It's great to see you in the chat. I don't think I have seen you in the chat. So like I said, welcome to the channel. Will Sarr become excess to requirements? What do you reckon, Johnny?
Why would he be excess to requirements? As I said, he was 22 years of age, I think, on the 20th of September. 22. Yeah. Okay. We were going on last season. Brennan Johnson's young. You've got to give him time. And as far as I know, in the two Europa League games, 2 goals, 2 games, and the assist for Solanke's goal against Man United. That's not a player.
Johnny, what I will say is I can see where he's coming from. I can see where Soul Sniper is cut. I love that name, Soul Sniper. It's coming from because if you look at it, now the team is, you'd say Benton Corbis. First of all, where do you, Johnny, I'm asking you this question. Is Sarr a 6 or an 8? Or is he both that can do both?
He's a box-to-box midfielder.
Okay, so we've got Bentancur, we've got Sarr. Sorry, got Bentancur, Basuma. That are the first 2 on the list, I would say, at the moment. For then you've got Bergvall, who's getting minutes in the Premier League ahead of him. Then you've got
Bentancur is the number 1.
Oh no, but what I'm saying is, and it's where Soul Sniper is coming from. Whether you like him or not, and I'm a fan of his, the youth that are coming through, the players that are coming through, Sarr does seem, from being at the top of the pecking order, because of the standard that they're at or the form they're in, Sarr has dropped down. It's up to Sarr to up his game to get up there. I can see where he's coming from. Do I think he will be? No. But I totally see where Soul Sniper is coming from without a shadow of a doubt.
I don't agree with any of it. Personally, this is not an 11. Fans always look at, he's not going to make the first 11. This isn't a first 11 game. This is a squad championship. Everything is about the squad. And this is the strongest squad we've had probably for a number of years, because we've got quality coming through from our own academy, plus the acquisitions that we've made, plus we got the young kid coming from Korea, who I can't pronounce his name right at this moment. So we have plenty of talent coming through. And there will be times where you have suspensions. Basuma's going to get suspended. We know that Bentancur is going to get suspended. We're going to have injuries, and there's going to be options, and there's going to be minutes. There's minutes for all, and this is where the squad comes in. So what is today is not tomorrow, and none of these players are peaking in September, right, or October. The season doesn't finish till May. Right, it's how you finish. It's what you do. I think that Sarr will be there. He might not be playing every game, but when called upon, he'll be making a contribution, just as he has done in our last 3 games.
There you go. So, right, we'll go to the next one. Matty Kushner, big up to you, my buddy. Delighted that he's got back into the Spanish team. Absolutely over the moon. Fully deserved. I think he's been great all season.
Just hope he don't get injured.
Yeah, fair play. He is grafted, and rightfully so, back into his national team. Shawnee Slater, Sonny has okay. So we've had this discussion about Timo or Mikey, and like I said, I think you start Werner or someone else at left wing, and bring Mikey on for an extended time in the second half. And I will say again, I'm going to have to reiterate it. This isn't for my fear or it's not because I don't trust Mikey. I completely, totally and utterly do. I just don't want to overdo him just yet, but I could be proved wrong. He could start Sunday, have a worldie or a great game, and then it's like, do you know what? I got that wrong. Next one. Here we go. Bobby K, my brother. One. Okay, he's got a couple of questions here. I'm starting to see Van der Ven as the first defender ever that might come close to filling Maldini. Wow. Okay. Two. Was the field smoking yesterday? Because Brennan is on fire. So, Bobby K, Maldini. Now, I know Bobby is very good. That is one of the boldest statements you'll ever see, Jonny. And boldest comparisons.
Listen, we're all entitled to make our statements. You know, I made it on Mikey Moore over a year ago now. I don't think I'm going to take it back. And, you know, you can make statements. Listen, I said to you, for me, Mickey van der Ven is already going to beat one of your favourites of all time, Jan Vertonghen. What he is Jan Vertonghen with pace. He's still got a lot of improvement to do. He's not Maldini and he's not Jan Vertonghen yet because his heading ability for someone who's 6'4" is not good enough at the moment. And there are other aspects of his game that need improving. But he's 22, 23 years of age. You don't mature as a centre-back until you're around about 26. He's got a lot of growth. He's got a lot to learn. How frightening is that? How good he is now and how much better he's going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. Think about that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say Brennan obviously is on fire. When it comes to, I see what Bobby's saying. He's not comparing to him right now as saying, right, he's Maldini. He's saying the way his career is going, could he be there? I think no one will ever come close to Maldini. Well, Maldini is obviously a left back and Van der Ven is more central. Maldini is the GOAT when it comes to left backs, in my opinion, above all people. I pray to God Mickey gets there. I pray to the Lord above that he gets there. But if Bobby wants to say, that's an exciting comparison for damn sure. But yeah, I think at the moment he is miles off, but he's still such a young lad. We'll see where he goes. But bloody hell, could you imagine if Tottenham had their very own Maldini? That would be something. But a long way.
Can I just add here? I just want to add here. Because all I hear is Lange this, Lange that, Lange the other, right? You look at the teams that have been put out the last few games, right? Especially against Man United and on the bench. This is still Don Fabio's team, okay? Still Don Fabio's team, you know? Look how many players are Don Fabio's. That he bought before he was sort of eased out of the equation. And they're still a very fundamental part of this team. Kulu, Bentancur, Romero, Vicario, Destiny, Sarr, you know, just keep looking, okay? Because all I hear now is people wax lyrical about Lange. No, the true turnaround in this squad depth and in the don't forget Spurs bought Will Lanksker for £2 million, unheard of. Spurs doing that for an academy kid. This is all turnaround from when he was there. Sorry, I just needed to get that in.
That's right. So let's have a look. Let's have a look. What's next? Will Timo be dropped from the squad in the next round? I think you're talking Reese, brother. In the Europa. Let's go along that thought, Jonny. Will Timo be dropped?
I think Ange will just keep playing him.
You reckon?
I think he will. Do I think he should? I think, as I said, go and see a psychologist. There's sports psychologists there. You know, we've seen it many, many times before. Get them in the dressing room. He might not believe it. He's old school, but he needs help, right? He does it all right, and then he gets that final moment and he shits himself, right? And you know, it's costing the team. Even the passing, you know, he's snatching at passes. Go and get him to see someone, and until such time, drop him, okay? And say, look, we're going to work on you because something's wrong. Something's fundamentally wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I think Reese as well. Once Odebear's back, it will be Odebear on the left, rotating with Sonny also think Mikey Moore and Johnson will rotate on the right, and Solanke and Lanksker will rotate in the centre when they're all fit and fine. So I think if Odegaard was fit, Odegaard starts on the left ahead of Werner yesterday. So he's not going to be ready for AZ Alkmaar, which is after the international break. So unless Sonny's fit and we want to get minutes into Sonny, I think he will start.
Has it worked out better though for Mikey Moore that Odegaard is injured?
Probably.
Because would he have got the minutes? I'm not so sure he would have.
That's a good point.
With Son, Werner, and Odegaard.
Oh, with Sonny out, I think he would have. Yeah, with Sonny out, if Odegaard was fit, I think it might have been Sonny and Odegaard. Odegaard and Moore, because Odegaard does prefer on the left, like he did for Burnley. Kev G, I hope Kev G is in the chat. I can't see the chat at the moment, some of the questions, but I have to say, Kev G. I've always been honest with this. I was one last season until we played. When I saw him in the right back position for Man U in the Ange's first home game, I was going nuts, saying he's not a right back. He can't play there. He's useless as a right back, not as a right midfielder where I wanted to see him. But after that Man U game, I have been one of his biggest supporters. I think he is absolutely magnificent on and off the pitch. Everything he does. I am a massive Porro fan, and I honestly think I don't care where he plays as long as he's playing. I think he's been absolutely brilliant, Jonny.
I still think he's the right winger. I love him as that. I have before he even signed. I kept saying to him, this guy out on the right, whipping those balls in for Solanke all day long. Put Jed Spence behind him, put him out on the right-hand side, bang. But, he's not going to... That's if, we lost someone like Brennan Johnson to injury and stuff. How you can play around and change things up. It's not going to happen, but that's what I think.
Fair play. Next one, Phil P's got a couple. Should we all delete our social media and become super... Yeah, in reference to Johnson, he's done very, very well to switch that off and say, do you know what, I'm going to do my talking on the pitch. And do you know what, fair play to him at 22 years old to go through what he's gone through on his own social media account, his family to see it, to then go and put in the performances he has shown that people may have thought he's a soft mummy's boy and everything, because he always thought. He's gone and shown some steel, hasn't he, Jonny?
Yeah, no, he has. Look, he's he's maturing. Think about how you were at 22, Brian. Well,
I'd rather not. I listen. That's a whole different show. That's a whole different show.
That's for a whole different channel.
Yes, that would be the trials and tribulations. I don't know what I'd call that show if it's about me as a 22-year-old. Say again.
How many have we got left? Excuse me.
We've got your voice is going. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions left. Sorry, I brought the last one up first. And look, the head of the Kulu Defence League is going on. How hard is Kulu? Very hard, I would say.
Yeah.
Let's get through them so you can get to bed. This is another one from Soul. Who is Jonny? Who's looking after who is in charge of sending out the players on loans and finding the clubs?
It is Lange and.
But who's it been previously as well? Because it's been a problem.
No, it's Lange and what's his name? The Rangers, the guy who came from Rangers. My brain's just had a slip at the moment. But I think I went about it in the summer and said it's crucial that we get this right. I'd rather they went down a division and get game time. Scarlett's not getting game time.
Correct.
Abbott is getting good game time at Notts County. He's playing 90 minutes every week. That's what's making him into a man. He's playing in the lower leagues, but he's getting 90 minutes, and it's a hard league. Let's be honest, right? It makes a man out of you coming from the academy and that, and going to games like that. So I would rather see that. And I think one of the best clubs at sorting out loans is Brighton. Let's see what happens with some of ours. We saw Parrott had a good loan last year. Quite why we just dumped him. and we didn't keep him out on loan for another year. I'm not sure, but he's gone. So listen, I just want to see our loans get better and work better for us and for the players.
Yeah, I mean the loans, as mentioned here, have been very, very hit and miss. It needs to improve, and hopefully it will do. Here we go, Chris Green. I can't see why we can't make use of Reguilon. Surely he's better than Davies and Gray at left back. Well, Reguilon can't play in Europe anyway. In Europe, he cannot play, Chris. I personally am not a fan of Reguilon at all. Jonny is on the other side of the fence. I would rather see it. The way I look at it, Chris, as well, is Reguilon is definitely a player on the way out. Whether it's in January or the summer, there's no new contract coming. That's for damn sure. And if a player isn't part of our future, I would rather see. Listen, Davies is there. Is he part of our future? No, but has he been a first team constant? Yes. Or squad?
He runs
yes.
the book club, Brian. You can't get rid of the
yeah, but Jonny, this is one thing. I said this with. I felt this way about Christian Eriksen. I felt this way about other players. If it's plain to see and obvious that they are on the way out, whether it be cutting their contract short or letting them go because we're not renewing their contract, I don't see where the benefits are. Yes, he may offer more. I don't think he could offer more. I think Gray could do more than Reguilon, and I'm being deadly serious here. I just don't believe it benefits Tottenham in any way when there's no way Spurs are offering him a contract that he plays, because it doesn't really offer, in my opinion. I mean, I don't know where you feel about that, Jonny.
Listen, I don't agree at all. Look, the guys come through. The guys come through. Real Madrid, right through the academy, played for Real Madrid. Diego Simeone knows a player, knows what he went to Atletico Madrid because he knows him. And basically, unfortunately, he went for a little minor operation and caught one of these hospital bacteria viruses, and he was seriously ill for months. It caught into an infection into the operation. Then he came back. He played very well for us against Barcelona. Ange told him he was going to be part of the squad. 2 days later, he shipped out to Man United. He didn't have a bad spell at Man United. He didn't have a bad spell at Brentford. What he is good at is getting the ball into the box. He's very good at crossing the ball, and I think he'd be very good as an inverted player. And I would rather not cut off my nose to spite my face. I'm not saying he's got a future at our club, but when you've got no left-sided players, or you've got a shortage of them, do not cut your nose off to spite your face. And someone can explain to me, are you really seriously telling me they put him on the planes just so they could practice football?
Well,
if he's not part of anything?
Well, it's obviously went there to do what Anne said. It's obvious he can't play. I think Spence, and I think it was Psycho Fox. It was Psycho Fox that said it. I think Spence didn't go and do that with them because they didn't know about Destiny, and he could be starting. It was like, don't bother travelling. There's a good chance he's starting on Sunday. So, listen, if that's a new thing that goes on with Ange, he says, do you know what, players that aren't coming, you're coming with me to help with training, then fair play. I mean, what difference did it make to Tottenham?
Well, listen, we saw Dante Casanova go, and, he wasn't part of it. We saw other players as well. So let's see what happens.
Exactly. A user, Real after Porro and QT, worries someone will come in for VDV. Will the board tie down or cash in?
Listen, who knows? Maybe if Amanda Staveley comes in and, there's a cash injection that Levy doesn't take off to the Bahamas in his pocket, and they invest in the squad rather than a new hotel that's going to block half of the ground, then yes, you got to sell the project. What's the project? Right now, if I was Christian Romero, I'm not seeing signs other than being captain and being like the number two that the club is making these marquee signings that would signify a change in direction. if we went out and signed a Osterman, or I'm just throwing a name out there, but someone who he thinks is a top player, then maybe you can convince these players to sign. But they're on big contracts. And as we saw at Crystal Palace, you know, unless you're going to pay the money, these players aren't going. And no one was going to pay 68 million for Eze. So he didn't.
Well, see, I mean, looking at this, but Coutie's the one that concerns me at the moment because he's got the less on the contract and the power is starting to go into his hand. I said this, and I've said this on quite a few shows. And I hate the sentence I'm about to say, it's the worst sentence I could ever say. If I was Daniel Levy and I would have Van der Ven's agents in the club right now saying, right, how much does he want and how long for, and tie him down big time. Porro, I'm not concerned. Coutie is the one out of those three that I would be concerned about just because of his contract length. But the one thing we will say is when it comes to selling players, there's no one that wants to go into a negotiation with Levy when it comes to selling players. The one problem I have with him when he sells players is like he did with Harry Kane. He does it 2 days before a window. With a Gareth Bale, he does it 2 days before the start. It's when he sells them. But I'm not concerned about VDV. I'm not concerned about Porro. Coutie, the only reason I'm slightly concerned is the length of his contract. And the final question, which is kind of similar with from Wayne Francois 23. Even though the South Korean is coming in January, do you think we sign 1 or 2 players in the January transfer window?
I think we will definitely sign 2 players. I think we'll sign a goalkeeper. I think we'll sign a left-sided defender, whether it be a left-sided centre-back. You know, I've told everyone before I'd love to see Hincapié come. You know, that for me would be a sign. We need competition. Yeah, Destiny's great, but, you know, why should he have it all to himself? You know, when fit, he starts, end of. It shouldn't be like that. And Vicario needs a challenge. No disrespect. I'm not saying he's playing badly, but, you know, there always needs to be a threat, I believe. And Foster, Austin and Whiteman are not a threat. So I would definitely see us getting a left-sided attacker and a goalkeeper.
Yeah,
defender. Sorry, should I say?
I will say, Ben, I've just seen your comment. I can see the comments now. I'm not putting my glasses on right now because the resemblance, he looks like me. I don't look like him. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I think 1 or 2 come in. It's whether it's the quality. And I've said for ages, and you mentioned about a goalkeeper, I have said for ages and ages, since whenever, for the whole tenure of Hugo Lloris, not one keeper was signed to challenge him. Not one.
Correct.
It was backup. If he gets injured or suspended or you need a rest, we'll just plop you in. There is no serious competition. I'm here to rival you. And I'm not saying we go signing a league keeper, but we need a better goalkeeper. I don't think it's going to be a priority in January. I don't. I think I'm not too sure where it will be. I think Spurs will be in the market in January. Spurs will buy 1 or 2 players. I just hope it's done quickly so they get all of January, like we did with Dragusin and Werner. Like it or not, Spurs did that quickly rather than the Porro saga that went all window and got done with hours to spare. And the window before that, where Kulu and Bentancur came in right at the end. Right, we said it was going to be a condensed one. It's been 1 hour and 48 minutes. I've seen some more questions coming in. What I will say is Johnny's not been feeling too great, so we are going to wrap up there. I've seen a few more questions coming right now, but at 1 p.m. Eastern time, 6 p.m. UK time, we are having the members show where your questions will be answered. If you are a member, you will have the link in the community section to come and join us and have your say on whatever you want to talk about, whether it be Ange, results, the players, the board, whatever it may be. I will say the last 2 weeks it's been corrupted. Dave's been singing and dancing. Last week it was bingo and talking about nostalgia away from football. So, Johnny, let me just get the names up so you can tell people where they can find you. Where can they find you, Johnny?
You can find me here, Johnny H3232 on X or Twitter, as we all know it. And give me a follow here if you've got Instagram or TikTok on Let's Talk Tottenham 1882. I post all my videos and stuff on there that you can't really post on Twitter because they're shorter videos. And obviously, we'll be here on Monday at 12 o'clock for discussing Spurs' smashing of Brighton and Hove Albion at the Alex Arena. And we'll be talking about 6 in a row, 6 and 6 for Brennan, and hopefully remaining positive on the journey and go for once. It'd be really lovely to go into the international break on a high.
Most certainly.
Let's hope we can. I'll settle for a draw, but I'd love a win.
Same here. And I think we will win. And most importantly is the win. But I also think Brennan Johnson makes it 6 in 6, and I can come on and have the big smile for Brennan and Ange. But guys, have a great weekend, whatever you're doing. Like Johnny said, we'll be here Sunday. It's the international break after, but Tottenham on Tour will have you covered. Monday. But Tottenham on Tour will have you covered with different types of content during that break. Like, comment, share, subscribe. And as always, Levy out.
Come on, you Spurs.